partners out there. So the next extension is, then how do you find them? And that's really, I mean, we say there's good people out there, and I agree with each and every one of you, there is. But the question is then, how do you access them?
You're kind of walking down a blind alley because you're listening to all these people tell you how good of a person you are, which you may be, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But maybe in your head, you've kind of pushed that self-improvement to the side and just thought, you know what, I'm perfect, I'm good, but everyone else around me doesn't seem to be up to my standard. But you haven't done that self-reflection to understand, well, you know what, I've got this to work on, I've got that to work on, this could be better, so that I could potentially attract the kind of person that I want. So
let's take that point, Ryan, about people evaluating themselves, and as Dan said, having the discipline to do the right thing. I will say my bane of contention, let's just talk about social media.
Yeah.
People say, how many likes have you got? How many followers have you got, right? Because if I've got 1 million followers, I'm a better ass than you because you've only got 200,000, right? Mm. So what am I doing with somebody who's only got 200,000 and I've got 1 million followers?
Because right? You can use that one in the bank.
No, but isn't this what people
they do
as value now? They take as value.
Status and stuff.
I am an influencer. I'm a mover and a shaker. And who are you? Sorry?
I promise you, they're barely moving.
Yeah, but the point being is that we can't ignore the effects social media has on our psyche and how it's ingrained into our society. And the topic that we are talking about is that we can't just look at it on one dimensional and say, you know, people should do this, should do that. I don't disagree with anything that's been said, but the pressures and the influences that are on, especially the younger generation who've grown up with it, is different. For me, I didn't grow up with these things, so it's easy for me to ignore. But for those who've grown up and they're no different, I wouldn't say it's not impossible. That's the wrong word, but it's really hard, right? Because when I hear when people say they're getting abused online, I'm like, in my stupid head, turn the damn thing off. What's the problem, right? That's because I'm not ingrained in this thing, but they are. Right, and so this topic that we're talking about is is there good partners out there? So the next extension is, and how do you find them? And that's really, I mean, we say there's good people out there, and I agree with each and every one of you, there is. But the question is then, how do you access them? Because it's not like we used to go down night moves like we used to.
You go to the dance.
Granaries and that.
Yeah, exactly. It was easy.
Granaries.
You were there. It's 3 or 4 places. Exactly.
You don't want to go show the chicken, fam.
No, tell me. But the point being is that, again, it goes back to my point. Choices. We have got such an open-ended number of choices, which makes it almost impossible to say, so where's my kind of person? So then I think that leads to people then taking on these, I'm going to call them false values. Let's call them weak values, right? And all of a sudden, you know, maybe I do want to go down Shoreditch because that's where I think the movers and the shakers are. That's where the people who've got more than 200 followers go. So I will take that as a stupid way of that's the kind of people I want to be with. And of course, they aesthetically have to look right. But the point being is that the points that Stuart and all of you were making earlier in terms of those core values, I mean, society just doesn't push that, doesn't pump it. So unless it's going to come from your home, and like my mum and dad to say, everything comes from the home, very difficult to think that they're going to get any kind of influence outside of the 4 walls of their house. You know,
it's the discipline again. It is the discipline again, because if you're disciplined enough to know that social media is a facade, it's not real, and we are the ones who make it, is what we give it the power that it has, and everyone's feeding into it on top of that, but they don't know when to switch it off or how to switch it off. I mean, even taking a week's break from social media, see what you do with yourself in your day-to-day. It's important to kind of just separate the two, or even just switch off your notifications and just stay away from it, because look how much people pick up their phones even. If you're not even disciplined enough to do that, what makes you think you're going to be able to move along with your life and not let it affect you so much, or let it change or tap into your perception of what is a perfect partner or any of these ideals that our generation seems to be like listing down? And if you don't meet any of that, well, you're not it. But nobody knows what it is that they're trying to find, that perfect ideal.
with social media as well, just to agree basically with what you're saying, is it's all about...
That's it. Agreeing.
Well, no, it's all about the outside view, what other people think of you, and doesn't leave a lot of time to really concern yourself with what you think of yourself. Yeah. And so that in terms of like being introspective, and what Ryan was saying is about who you are as a person, and have you had time to look at yourself, or perceiving yourself as this perfect being or finished article, when actually all we're looking for, and I say we loosely, when we use social media, how many people, who liked it, why have they liked it, and how am I appearing to everybody else, rather than how am I appearing to myself. And we all know, when we think about it, is that authenticity that makes you who you are and makes you able to form these true relationships going forward. Whereas if you're constantly focused on what's going on outside of that, how can you possibly be properly happy? And then if you're not properly happy, that does make it kind of more difficult to kind of forge these proper relationships, in my opinion. So focus on what's going on outside of yourself.
It's like a toxic hamster wheel, social media is. It's like it gives everyone this point of view that they haven't even gained through their own knowledge and experience. It's just like, men think women want this. So men are like, you know, if I'm not doing certain things, if I'm not earning this kind of money, if I don't dress a certain way, if I'm not 6'4", if I haven't got a six pack, then no woman's going to want me, which is false. Then women on the other side, you know, if I don't have a plastic breast and a plastic bum and I'm not this shape, then no man is going to take me on or whatnot. And it's absolutely false. And it's got us all thinking that we want something that we actually don't want.
And I think the sad thing with that is there must be some people out there, both men and women, who feel like, you know, they've hit a bit of bad luck with partners, and then they resort to what everyone else is doing. And they don't realize that in that process of moving from being unique and being their own person, that actually made them really attractive and really, do you know what, a one and out type person, right? This is the person I really need to be with. They end up transforming into the rest. And then they wonder why it kind of goes a bit wrong. So I just go
on the other end of that spectrum, you get people who are like, I've done it this long and I've been myself for this long. I'm not now gonna, and this is part of it as well, I'm not now gonna settle for some. And I think that's where I would probably put myself. I've, you know, I've a great life, like in terms of, you know,
the things that make you happy, essentially.
But
I believe that's what you should be doing.
And you meet somebody on the way who likes to do the things X, Y, Z. I think it can be very difficult, especially, so bringing it back to what Uncle Rodney was saying earlier on about, you know, the way the world has changed. I'm able to have a great life because women work full-time jobs in the same way that men do now. So I can fund that, and I don't have to worry about, you know, I need to get married or I need to find a partner to enable me to be able to have this thing. I don't need that person. So I think, you know, good or bad, however you see it, I have been reluctant to let go of my lifestyle and what I do to enjoy myself for anything that's sort of less than what I want. And I'm not saying that I'm, you know, searching for somebody who's a finished article, perfect. I'm none of those things. But I'm definitely not going to have somebody who's going to treat you badly. I'm definitely not going to have, you know, mediocre or substandard when I know what I'm doing by myself and what I can offer to a union. So I think there's also that side of it, like people who are like, well, actually, I'm not in a position where I need to just take anything or accept any nonsense. And like you said, other people who are so desperate to be in a relationship, and I don't say that negatively, we're all different, that they will succumb to the pressures of what society is kind of pushing on us.